I'm here with Louis Birdman for The Real Deal, and I'm going to ask him a little bit about what he sees in the South Florida market. So there's been record price increases. How deep do you think that market is?
There was a big shift a number of years ago when a lot of the Latin American markets, that South Florida very heavily depended upon for many years, started to sort of dry up because a variety of reasons, economic issues, and eventually travel restrictions, things like that. Domestic business started to grow as the international business started to contract. And now we're starting to get to a point where we're getting the sense, you're already starting to see signs of it, that the international markets and Latin American markets are going to be coming back to South Florida now that travel has opened up again.
I have a question for you about the luxury condo buyer who comes to Miami, he's looking for a luxury condo, versus the buyer who's coming and looking for an ultra-luxury waterfront. Do you think that those people are the same? Do you think they're different?
To some extent, they're a different buyer, but what's happened is that the luxury single-family buyer has found that it's very difficult to find any inventory. What happened was that there was a small handful of buildings, our building being one of the 1,000 museums, that had these large units, which were sort of atypical of the typical condo unit that had been developed over the last cycle or so. So the projects that had large units started to see buyers who originally maybe came here to buy single family, couldn't find what they were looking for, and then started looking at condos as an alternative and started gravitating towards those projects that had these larger units, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom.
In the ideal world, what would that luxury condo that would cater to these types of buyers look like? Would it be huge floor plans, entire floor type of units?
Low density, people that are coming here that are looking at condominium living as an option don't necessarily want to be in a 400 or 500 unit building just because of what people have just experienced over the last 2 years.
How about when it comes to raising financing for your projects? What have you noticed in the last 18 months? Are you, do you have any number of options, or what are you seeing?
Yeah.
How
there's a
are
lot
you
of there's everyone's got their eyes on South Florida, so there's a large pool of lenders and private equity that's looking to be here. Many of them have moved their businesses here.
So it sort of sounds like you have your pick of the litter in terms of who you would like to partner with on a deal. What is sort of your rationale of deciding who's the best fit for a project like this?
Well, it's someone that allows us to do what we do as developers and rely on us to do it, and can be the least obtrusive in our business because we think we know how to operate, our business of designing and selling and operating, constructing condominium projects.
Are you able to be quite competitive with rates among the different partners?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a competitive business, and obviously, rates are for developers today are more attractive. Obviously, with different types of development come sort of different rate structures, but it's for developers today, rates are certainly more favorable than they were several years ago.
I want to ask your thoughts on co-living and potentially even co-working, but let's start with co-living. What do you think of that model?
I think it's a really interesting model. Obviously it's for a certain audience. I don't see people, sort of my generation in co-living environments, but certainly my kids, potentially, would be interested in something like that. But I think it's a really interesting model. I don't know how successful it will be here in South Florida. I think we're going to need more office space here in South Florida because it's always been a market where we haven't had as much office space because we haven't had the need for it. But now with all these people coming here, they still want a place to go to work, even though people work out of their home or work out of co-work situations. I think people aren't going to give up office space. They just might take less.
Are you working on any multifamily mixed-use projects?
I am. Yeah, we're working on a couple projects that are in South Florida that are multifamily mixed-use projects.
I wonder just how much you feel sort of pressure to now, really add amenities, program those amenities in light of this rise of work, live,
Look, I think all the amenities that exist, even post-COVID and pre-COVID are kind of the same. I think they're just planned with maybe a little different thought in mind.
Thank you.